We cannot accept that behaving unnaturally is a human right.
Do you personally dislike homosexuals?
Of course, they are disgusting.
I dated a lady in Uganda. The father is on the government. Then one day they came to my place. They hit the door, they came inside. They started to beat me. I had to leave because there was no choice. No one can talk to the soldiers in Uganda.
Gay sex is already illegal in Nigeria, but this act goes further. It recommends prison sentences of up to 14 years for same-sex couples.
We equally reject attempts to prescribe new rights that are contrary to our values, norms, traditions, and beliefs. We are not gays.
I left the Congo because wherever you go, you need to watch your back. Someone attacks you physically and you think that someone might help, but people start laughing at you and calling you names. How can you feel that you deserve to be a human being?
Since the beginnings of civilization, we have treated refugees as deserving of our protection. Whatever our differences, we have recognized the fundamental human obligation to shelter those fleeing from war and persecution. We must not fail.
I didn't choose to be gay. Why would I put myself in a position of making my own life miserable? Imagine a 7-year-old, you play with other kids and you are always victim, and then you report that to your family, and instead of trying to find what went wrong, they beat you up or they tell you, okay, they are doing that to you because you act like a girl. So you're living your life isolated.
Not being able to be with my children, and I think that's the biggest sacrifice I made. A lot of times it's sleepless nights and crying, missing birthdays, Christmases. It's very lonely. This is just you. You leave home with a suitcase or a bag, and you just come with a hope and a dream, and which is usually shattered.
And these are my t-shirts for soccer. This one, but I like yellow color. I was on the national team. I can't play for them anymore. In Cape Town, they allow me to play. I train, but I'm not playing the matches. You must be with a working permit. Then I had to give up. In my country, they say the white is the one they brought the lesbians and gays. There's somebody they born someone like that. I never choose. That's how I am.
the same year that I decided to leave my country. It was the same year that South Africa introduced same-sex marriage, and the constitution was made public, protecting everybody. So that was exciting for me. I must say at the border it was okay. They just wanted to know why I left the country. They said after 14 days I need to make my way to the big city and go and apply for refugee status. But when you get to the place where you are supposed to apply, what you get there is just another reality. I went in and then I filled up my form and I was called in. He started by asking me, why are you in South Africa? Yeah, just relating my story. He's like, oh, so you mean you gay? I said, yes, I'm gay. He's like, okay, why are you gay? Then I'm like, sir, I'm gay because I was born gay. Then he's like, don't you know that being gay is against the Bible? Then I said to him, sir, I don't think that is a right question for you to ask me. Then he's telling me, can you prove me that you're gay? I said, how can I prove to you that I'm gay? If I tell you, show me your breath, are you gonna show me your breath? Are you gonna touch and prove me that this is your breath? You feel it, it's the same thing. It's inside, it's something that you don't touch. So he got angry, he came up with a paper. Paper said, my reason of being in South Africa is manifestly unfounded.
I come here 2 weeks ago. Every night I used to sleep here, so no one helped us when we come here.
Sometimes when we inside, we saw those people. They are busy in the Facebook, WhatsApp, but there's a long queue waiting for them. But we'll be here, we'll see patients.
They treat the people like dogs, like animals.
You run from your country because you are persecuted. You come here, they persecute you.
I can't talk much, man, because that security there is watching me.
My name is Mandira Ramdarikwa. I am an attorney at the Legal Resources Center in Cape Town. I work in a project called Equality and Non-Discrimination that focuses on ensuring that everyone is equal before the law. The interest in wanting to pursue this was really from the number of rejections we've seen of people that are seeking asylum because of their sexuality, and some of the ways in which the claims were captured, some of the reasoning that is being given in rejecting these cases was concerning to us. The Constitution is hope for everyone in knowing that should anything happen to me, the Constitution will protect me. So in our project, we're really seeking to make that hope a reality based on the number of cases that we've worked on and looking at the rejection letters themselves. Even when you look at the manner in which the claim is captured, the decisions being given are not lawful. For example, someone being rejected because you're not a high-profile gay person, or people being rejected because they've not proven that they're gay, or people being rejected because it's your fault, you could have kept quiet. A person applying that decision is not really fully understanding what persecution means. It's called the Anne Frank principle, that as long as you have to hide who you are to ensure that you don't suffer persecution, in that context already, that is persecution.
The heteronormative norm is you get married, you have children, a woman is supposed to have a husband, and that is your place. I'm a mother, I have children, and being a sister and a responsible citizen. It took me a very long time to get in touch with my sexuality and to get in touch with myself. And then if you step outside of that norm, you're policed like, oh, why are you behaving differently? Are you cursed? There's something wrong with you. It's witchcraft. And the slightest idea that someone knows is a nightmare. And facing that kind of judgment is painful, especially at home. And I mostly came to South Africa for the freedom and to be able to live the life that I wanted to live and not just be locked away and not being able to express myself.
One of the important things that we've learned from working with people coming to South Africa has been how complex persecution is, and that persecution cannot be narrowly defined. Persecution is very subjective. It's how I have experienced what has happened to me. And what we see is that women are within a particular vulnerable group, within the group that faces persecution around their sexual orientation and gender identity. There are instances of women who have fled because of their sexual orientation, but that find that they fled rape in their own country, but that they also face the possibility or the very real risk of rape while they're in transit coming to South Africa. And then, of course, South Africa has its own issues around hate crimes that are perpetuated against homosexual people, especially women.
Even the time they was beating me, no one was helping because they are soldiers. I get my passport, then I go to Ginger with the girlfriend. Then we met a group of people, which is a community. They say, "What are you doing here?" Even when they see you to wear like this, they ask you, "Are you a lady? Are you a guy? What is going on, you know?" Then after they start to beat us, I ran away. I never see her again. Then I found the trucks. The one guy says he's going to Tanzania. On the way, then the guy says he's tired, he's going to sleep. Then he said, "No, I'm gonna sleep with you. Yeah, if you don't want, I'm gonna leave you here." Then I had no choice. It was a long journey. On the way, I was asking him, "Where can I get a team because I'm a soccer player?" He said, "No, there is a South Africa. There is a women's team." Then I came to Cape Town. You dare to be a gay and you are not a South African, especially when you're on the taxi, train. They say, "Hey, Mofi, hey, kwere, you know." They are similar to people from Uganda. I dated a lady which is Natasha in Kairicha. I didn't know she got a boyfriend. I was from the train, and I found them. They say, "We're gonna show you a lady. Why don't you leave our lady alone? We are going to rape you." Then they tried. I managed to get away the first time, but the second time I couldn't. One of the friends is a police lady, she's a lesbian. I said, "No, don't go to the police. If they catch one of them, the others, they will come and kill him. What you have to do, you have to leave the place and go to another place." I went for the counseling because if I keep it on my heart, it's gonna make me think a lot. Then I just let it go. Yeah.
It's difficult for us also as attorneys when we have that first engagement with clients to be able to get clients to talk about their stories. If you've suffered emotional trauma, if you have been psychologically scarred, no human being is going to sit around a table and immediately disclose all of their secrets.
Hey, Charlene. Hello. How are you? Looking good. Nice earrings.
You have to be able to build up a level of trust before people completely disclose all of their details. And sometimes that might take more than one meeting, and that's certainly understandable. I think the difficulty or the obstacle that they face when they go to the Department of Home Affairs is that you get that one opportunity to tell your story. And there is no relationship of trust that's built up through that. It's almost the assumption that just because you're sitting here, you have to tell me your whole life story. Having that assumption surely cannot make for a reliable status determination process. So your initial application was lodged in Messina.
Yes.
And on your initial application that you lodged, you did not disclose your sexual orientation or persecution as a ground for the asylum.
I literally wrote 4 words: I'm looking for a better life. And because there was a room of about 100 people, were also, it was like interview style of just writing, like an open room, and everyone is just writing what they think or talk. And it was very scary.
Your RSGO decision says that you were manifestly unfounded.
Yes.
But it doesn't actually say anything about your sexual orientation.
Yes.
It continues to stick to this version
Yes.
that you had originally said that you came for economic issues.
A lot of the times you have something that you want to say, but you fear the authority. And because sometimes you think of how home is or your original country where you come from, and yes, being outspoken is something very fearful, and you never see the long-term consequences of the decisions that you make. I think this is what has pushed me more into activism and wanting to speak on issues, because initially at that point, I was not able to speak myself, and it has caused me a whole lot of problems and a bigger mess than if I had just said something initially. So now I'm a little bit more knowledgeable and educated about what it means to speak. Hello, everybody. Hello. Currently, I'm at Culebrini. I'm a human rights intern, and we're working on a campaign. It's called Let's Face It, LGBTI rights are human rights. And in our campaign, we're saying that homosexuality has always existed on the African continent. Different tribes, different culture, from the 1600s, 1800s, and it's not something from the West. It's not something new, but let's face it, let's talk about it. I'm sorry. Africa is too big. Hi, would you like to take a picture with us?
Gay rights, human rights.
Thank you.
Thank
so
you.
you'll be able to find your picture on that. Yeah, today is Human Rights Day, and we're saying that Human Rights Day is a day that LGBTI people's rights should be remembered. So we aim to get 1,000 pictures today, and in solidarity with that cause.
If it is un-African, or gay people in general would be born on either a different continent or in a different space than an African space. And then if you're born in Africa, you are African automatically, whatever you are.
There are some people who qualify to judge me as being me. They need to see my true color inside me, what I feel.
You're disgracing Africa right now. Gay rights, human rights, people can do whatever they want to do, but then at the day, not all of us are going to support it.
There's a lot of stigma. So a lot of people hide, they don't talk, then they don't want to share.
If you're a girl and you like girls, then you go and tell your friends because you're afraid of judgment. Yes. Like even your parents, even your parents, they can like sometimes disown you.
When your rights are being discriminated, you should go report it to the police station.
The first thing, that's why you need to know the Bill of Rights. Then you'll be able to know what your rights are.
I want to live as a human being with all the rights that I deserve. I know I'm in the country where the Constitution allows LGBTI people to be free. Basop is an NGO that advocates for all the refugees in the country.
Hello, everybody.
I'm watching you too, girlfriend. We need to tell them about your situation and your story. Bonjour. So I was explaining, then they said that, but did you do what they asked you to do here within 14 days? I said, what was I supposed to do? They asked me if that official explained anything to me. I said, no, he just handed me the paper and that was it, and I left. So I didn't know anything. Then he said, you are really in a very bad situation right now. We need to connect you with a lawyer. They connected me to LRC. That's how I met Mandy. I was undocumented for 7 months while she was doing the follow-up with the court. I couldn't work. I couldn't rent a place. I couldn't walk freely. If the police arrest me, they ask me for my paper. I don't have that. In my own home, I cannot just go back. I might even end up dying.
Refugees themselves are vulnerable. And then within a service provision, sometimes you find that LGBTI asylum seekers, the service that is rendered to this vulnerable group of persons is even worse because they suffer the stigma of being refugees and then they suffer the stigma of being a homosexual refugee.
I went to Home Affairs. Yeah, it was hard to get a paper. So you wake up early in the morning, you have to be that side like 4 o'clock, then you can be fast. They open around 8, then they can work on you around 1, 5, it depends. They are shouting, they don't have the language. They take us like, oh, we are not a human being. Yeah. I went, I think, 3 times. Yeah, then the lady said, no, you have to bribe that side, then you have to give the security the money to allow you to enter. Then I entered, I do. Then they give me the form to fill. Me, I was scared. I didn't write why I left my country. Then the same day, they rejected me until now.
Winter is coming, but there's more suffering in winter here. The other people, they got babies here, but since now, we don't know what happened. There's no order. Sometimes 2 weeks you can stand here, and it's raining.
After I went to a legal resource center, to Nandi, then I did the interview with her. Then say she's gonna try to see if they can give me the status that side. I've been waiting since in 2009. Yeah. Until now, I'm still waiting.
Mandy got a court order, and then Home Affairs was supposed to comply to that. But they suggested I should go for another interview. The person asked me if I made an effort to find LGBTI organizations in my country. I said to her, there is no LGBTI organization in my country. She turns the computer to me, the screen. She's telling me that you are lying because I researched. There are so many LGBTI organizations in your country that could protect you. I said to her, This is the internet. I am from that country, and I'm telling you there isn't such a thing. Now she said, no, unfortunately, I'm not able to grant you a refugee status. It's not me, it's the law. The human rights is being violated in this building. When the official comes out to collect papers, you don't know which ones that you want to take. It's really complicated and disorganized. And these people seem to be not well-trained about their job. The way they're treating people inside, it's just disgusting.
We're asking to make sure that there's training so that refugee status determination officers in making decisions, in adjudicating in the applications of asylum seekers who are homosexuals, they make sure that they understand how to apply the law without any stigma, without any prejudice. They make sure that they use language that is, within the ambit of the Constitution.
We made a very good start with the Constitution, but we should become a society where people are free to be who God made them to be.
When I was young, I thought I'm the only person who's got that feeling. Then when I went to the high school, I met other ladies. I said, hey, I thought I'm alone. But in the school, they caught 2 ladies. Then they had to chase them away from the school. It makes me very scared. Then I had to be hiding, yeah. Even my mother, she was asking, why don't you wear the dresses? I said, no, Mama, I'm a soccer player. I don't have time for the dresses. She knows, but I never tell her. And I can't. If you are a lesbian in Uganda, it's a sin. The pastors, instead of preaching the Bible, they are preaching about the gays, the lesbians. That's why you're gonna scared to come out. You say they see you with another lady, which is wearing a dress, it's a problem. If you want to survive, you walk alone, yeah.